In order to display your chosen ontology in your own language, you'll need to select LabelTranslator's source and target languages, as used by the LabelTranslator plugin. This is easily achieved by setting the plugin's language preferences. In the window menu, choose Preferences, NeOn Toolkit Preferences, followed by Language Preferences. The current version of the LabelTranslator plugin offers only 3 language options: English, Spanish, and German. You can, however, change the order in which these language options are displayed by the use of the up and down keys on the keyboard. If you wish to insert a new language, choose a new location from the list, and then click Create. LabelTranslator assumes that the first language in the list of preferences is the source language, and that the second language is the target language. Each time a new ontology is imported into the NeOn Toolkit, LabelTranslator automatically creates a new repository in which to store the linguistic information for each ontology in the background. In order to show the linguistic repository, you should select any class or property frame in the ontology navigator. From here, choose the Linguistic Information page in the Entity Properties view. The Linguistic Information page displays 5 sections corresponding to the lexical entries of the selected ontology element, as well as the associated information for lexicalizations, senses, usage contexts, sources. It also has a note section. The lexical entry section represents the master from which it's possible to deploy the related information. Of course, every time a new entry is chosen, the interface will automatically display directly related information. If, when in the ontology navigator, you wish to localize a given element, simply right-click on the chosen ontology element, and then select Translate in the pop-up menu. The actual translation process will take a short time to execute, during which time one of a number of mainstream linguistic resources such as IATE, Babelfish, Google Translator, and so on is used. An interface shows the ranked translations generated by the plugin. The system automatically selects what it believes to be the most relevant translation, but you can influence this by manually selecting an alternative. Once completed, click OK. What the plugin now does in runtime is to complete the fields with appropriate translations as selected by the user, whilst maintaining the option to edit any field information as featured in the various sections of the Linguistic Information repository. In order to localize a group of ontology elements, right-click on the folder classes by instance, then select the Translate option in the pop-up menu. Click Run in Background to continue with other activity whilst the plugin performs the translation as a background task. Once the required translations have been undertaken, you can either edit or choose another translation using the translation list appropriate to each ontology element. As usual, click OK to finish. Whilst on the Linguistic Information page, LabelTranslator will now complete, again in runtime, the relevant fields information as selected by the user. Finally, a note about advanced change tracking. The NeOn Toolkit provides the ability to capture changes even when ontological terms have changed position within the ontology model. For instance, when adding a new element into the ontology, in this particular case a new class, LabelTranslator can accurately identify the minimal set of changes needed to adjust the structure of the Linguistic Information repository. Once the new term has been created, LabelTranslator will perform the corresponding action in the linguistic repository. Of course, the plugin will also perform the opposite action. When a given ontological term is deleted, LabelTranslator will automatically perform the corresponding action in the Linguistic Information Repository. And that summarizes the LabelTranslator plugin for the NeOn Toolkit.